So in the previous video of project configurator for Jira, we basically started using it, and my intention with the first video was to give you a very quick idea, a glimpse of what project configurator can do for you. And in that video, we spent some time looking at various features, and we actually did migration of project, not just one project. I believe we did migration of all the projects from one instance of Jira to another instance of Jira. And we also talked about various use cases of project configurator. So you can use project configurator for, of course, migrating the project configurations from one instance to another, but you can also perform the actual migration, and you can use it for configuration, like pushing your configurations or changes from your staging environment to maybe your production environment, which is always great because you can do it using a tool instead of manually modifying the workflow and repeating yourself on production. Now, we will be talking about project configurator a bit more in detail in a series of videos. So I'm making a series on a project configurator for Jira, just to help you guys in case you want to, of course, do the same thing, in case you think you have requirements in your organization where you have to migrate your projects, or maybe you're performing a merge with the end of Jira server. A lot of organizations will consolidate their smaller Jira instances to just one Jira data center instance, and merging will, in my opinion, in the next couple of years, merging will be part of the roadmap for many organizations. So in this video, I basically wanted to talk about one specific aspect of what all object types are supported. Now, in case you are new to project configurator, you should start by looking at this documentation. So right now I'm looking at the documentation. So if you go to Adaptivist Docs, you will find the link in the marketplace listing, and I recommend you to take a look at the release notes. I mean, don't really spend like time reading each and every line for all the releases, but it is always good to just take a look at the most recent release note. Like, for example, I'm looking at version 3.7.3. Just take a look at this particular place where you can find things that were introduced in the most recent version. But if you want to start, I recommend you to start by clicking this link on the left hand side that says supported object types. Of course, you need to first install it, and in the beginning, if possible, perform a very quick migration like we did in the last video. We installed project configurator. I didn't really show you how to install it, but it is just like any other app. But once you install project configurator on both source and target instance of Jira, then perform a migration. It will give you a very good idea about the capabilities by using the tool, like using it very quickly. But of course, when it comes to planning a proper migration, when you want to start using the tool, of course, look at the documentation. And today in this video, I want to focus on the supported object types. Now, in Jira, in case you're new to this word of Jira and how Jira works, in Jira you have, of course, your issues, and your Jira issues are basically within a project. But when it comes to configurations, this is where project configurator will come into picture in case you want to migrate it to another instance. There are many ways of performing a migration. One simple way of migrating your project from one instance to another instance is to use CSV, for example. CSV is one option, or you can use maybe REST API to pull information from one instance of Jira to then, of course, push it to another instance. When it comes to doing a proper project import, there is actually a feature in Jira called project import. So basically you can take a backup of your source Jira instance, and then you can go to the target instance, and one by one you can import the project. But that project import only works when you have all the configurations in place. And when it comes to configurations, you have things like issue types, and of course issue types are part of issue type schemes. Then you have custom fields, and custom fields are used in screens. Then you have screen schemes, then you have issue type screen schemes. So if you look at this particular page, you can see here that there are almost all the configurations that can be migrated from one instance of Jira to another instance of Jira using Project Configurator. So this particular list is really important, and if you look at this list, as I mentioned before, it has almost everything that you need for your project data that you can migrate from one instance to another instance, apart from information that is directly related to the project, like for example schemes and workflows and custom fields. You can have things like filters. So filters are basically related to users, because these are nothing but saved searches, and filters are also based on or I should say filters are used in other places like dashboards. And the good thing is that that using Project Configurator, you can also migrate your Scrum and Kanban boards. There are some other things that I believe you should look at. For example, if you want to migrate components and versions and members of a project role. So let us say if you have a project, and within project you have project roles, of course, and it is always good to use project roles so that you can delegate the permission giving aspect of your Jira projects to individual project admins. So you just configure permission schemes and let your project admins worry about whom they want to give permission, so they can use project roles. So using Project Configurator, you can also move or migrate the members who are part of those project roles. And starting from version 2.3, I'm just of course looking at the page here. You can see here that it also supports service management. So Jira Service Desk, in case you're familiar with Jira Service Desk, now it is known as service management. So you can migrate request types, including their fields. So request types are nothing but types that appear on the portal. So in Jira, you have issue types, but when you expose those issue types on the portal, customer portal, you have to do it using request types. So you can also migrate request types, request type groups, queues, and SLAs. There are other things like rules, notification rules, approvals, and portal settings, knowledge-based integration, for example. So quite a lot of, there are quite a lot of things that you can migrate, move from one instance to another instance. And other things like comments, work log, change history, attachment, issue links, these all can be migrated. If you're talking about, again, service management, then you have the concept of organization, and also it can perform migration for the customer satisfaction feedback survey results. So this is really important in case you're using those, I believe, CSAT scores, I guess. So this is really useful. So do take a look at this page, and I think it is very important in the beginning that you spend time looking at the documentation, and reading documentation is important, because when you're trying to do something and you are not sure how it can be done, or basically in this case, if you are trying to migrate or perform consolidation, having knowledge of what all is supported is really important, because you don't really want your customers to complain later on. If you think anything, if you think you need anything beyond what is listed on this particular page, then you can maybe use some other method, like maybe make sure either your users are aware of that particular thing, or maybe you can create those configurations manually. But I think if I look at this page, I think it has almost everything. The good thing is that you can also migrate data or configuration, I should say configuration related to some third-party applications. For example, if I show you this page called support for third-party applications, you can find here that Project Configurator can also migrate condition validators and post functions that are defined using JSU, Jira Suite Utilities, Jira Workflow Tool, Jira MISC Workflow Extensions, Jira Service Rocket Utilities, and some features, some parts of script for Jira, like if you look at behavior, workflow, resources, script fields, REST endpoints, and jobs. There is a page integration with scriptner for Jira that we can probably look at maybe in future, but it can also support some aspects. I mean, to be honest, to be fair, when you're talking about scripts, you can't really expect your scripts to work as it is. You have to, of course, look at the script, and sometimes you have to maybe use the right custom field name or the right custom field ID, and things will change, definitely change when it comes to moving those scripts from one instance to another instance. So you have to test them properly and make changes manually. But the good thing is that Project Configurator can actually perform migration of some of those features within scriptner for Jira, and it can also support Workflow Essential for Jira. So this is quite good and I think useful information. One thing that I wanted to check is specific information about some object types. So do take a look at this page. We will probably come to this page, or we'll probably anyways figure it out when we have to do something with custom fields of type cascading select list, for example. So this page also has some important information that I think you should read. So in the beginning, I think you should probably take a look at this page, supported object types. And I wanted to spend some time talking about this particular aspect of Project Configurator. You need to know what all object types it can migrate. And that is all I wanted to talk about in this video. I hope you enjoyed watching this video and you also learned something new today. Thank you very much.